Day 4. The Rise of a Star. Shedeur Sanders sends a message. "I've just got to gain a deeper level of awareness," Shedeur said, "because when my moment comes, I have to seize it completely. That requires a shift, not just in mindset, but in mental fortitude. Even when I'm not taking snaps, I've got to find ways to improve. That's the standard." Oh, the sweet, satisfying receipts. And they've arrived right on schedule. Shedeur Sanders returned to the field for day 4 of training camp, and he came back with fire in his eyes and a mission in his heart. It didn't take long for the young gunslinger to remind everyone exactly who he is. 3 dazzling touchdowns later, heads were turning, and whispers turned into roars. But it wasn't just about the stats. It was the precision, the composure, the sheer brilliance in every throw. The highlight of the day? A jaw-dropping strike to Luke Floria on a deep crossing route that dissected the defense. Floria caught it in stride and surged into the end zone for 6. It was arguably the play of the day, maybe the entire week. In red zone drills where the pressure simmers and every decision is magnified, Shedeur didn't flinch. He delivered. Out of 11 reps, he completed 8 passes, including 3 for touchdowns. No other quarterback on the roster matched that efficiency. It wasn't close. Now let's break down one play that captured it all. The pocket was collapsing. Chaos swirled around him. Defensive linemen crashed in from all sides. But Shedeur? He stood tall, eyes scanning, heartbeat steady. He located Mike Floria, making a sharp cut toward the left sideline. And then, bang! He didn't throw to where Floria was. He threw to where Floria would be. The ball sailed perfectly, landing in the strike zone like a guided missile. Floria caught it in full motion. Touchdown. This wasn't luck, it was mastery. Every snap Shedeur took, he treated like a final exam. Every rep, a test of will, IQ, and precision. And time after time, he passed with flying colors. In one particularly intense rep, defenders closed in fast. But Shedeur didn't panic. He leaned back, processed the field like a veteran, and waited for the slimmest window. Then, threaded the needle with clinical accuracy. That's the difference. That's elite-level quarterbacking. Garrett Bush couldn't hold back when reflecting on the fireworks. "He was the guy today," Bush said. "They gave Shedeur the nod over Dillon Gabriel, and he delivered." In a training camp full of storylines, it was Shedeur Sanders who seized the narrative. Dillon Gabriel might still be in the conversation, but Shedeur just might have flipped the script entirely. This performance wasn't just a good day, it may have been the turning point in Cleveland's quarterback battle. And if Sanders keeps rising like this, it won't be long before QB1 becomes his rightful title. Shedeur Sanders is taking over, the emergence of a true NFL-ready playmaker. Shedeur Sanders didn't merely stand out in 11-on-11 drills. He commanded attention across every format. In 7-on-7 action, where mental sharpness and adaptability are paramount, Shedeur continued to shine, showcasing an evolving skill set that few quarterbacks at this level possess. There was one particular throw that left spectators in awe. Rather than rushing under pressure like most young quarterbacks might, Shedeur displayed exceptional composure. After receiving the snap, he didn't panic. He pivoted smoothly to his right, scanning the field with methodical precision. And when he spotted the window, boom! A flawless dart to the wide-open sideline target, who caught it in stride and exploded downfield. You can see it for yourself, Shedeur Sanders in motion, rolling out with confidence. Critics said he couldn't operate outside the pocket. Well, this rep buried that narrative. Not only did Shedeur throw on the move, he tucked the ball and took off when the defense dared him to improvise. He's no longer just a pocket passer, he's becoming a dynamic weapon. In another sequence, Shedeur calmly slid away from pressure. Most QBs would have forced a throw. Not Shedeur. He identified a defensive gap, accelerated through it, and extended the play with his legs. But this wasn't a desperate scramble. It was a strategic decision, illustrating his maturing football instincts. It was a sign that he's not just learning the game, he's beginning to control it. This is what makes Sanders so dangerous now. He's expanding his arsenal. While his cannon arm and surgical accuracy are well known, his mobility and field awareness are quickly adding layers to an already impressive resume. In red zone drills where mental acuity and split-second decisions decide touchdowns, Shedeur elevated his game even further. He wasn't just aiming at targets. He was processing, dissecting, and delivering with surgeon-like efficiency. Defensive mismatches, exploited. Pressure, ignored. Opportunities, seized. It wasn't just athleticism, it was football intelligence on full display. In back-to-back red zone reps, Sanders delivered laser-sharp touchdown passes with defenders collapsing in on him. His reaction speed, decision-making, and accuracy were flawless. These weren't just good plays. These were championship-caliber executions. And the national voices are beginning to echo what fans have witnessed. Dan Orlovsky weighed in on the Shedeur Sanders versus Dillon Gabriel debate, and his words added serious fuel to the growing fire. After watching both quarterbacks closely, Orlovsky declared that Shedeur is the better NFL prospect. Why? Because of his physical makeup, mental poise, and decisiveness under pressure. He's built for the NFL game, Orlovsky said. The scheme in Cleveland and his skill set, they fit like a glove. If I had to choose based on traits and potential, I'm banking on Shedeur. Orlovsky even compared him favorably to Tua Tagovailoa, noting that Sanders' physique and adaptability give him the edge in pro-level competition. And honestly, that assessment tracks. Because every day, Shedeur isn't just participating in training camp, he's dominating it. From his precision in full-team drills, to his command in the red zone, to his ability to create magic when the pocket collapses, Sanders is proving he's not just a name in the quarterback competition, he's the standard. This isn't just about numbers. This is about presence, about leadership, about elevating the energy of a locker room every time he steps on the field. The verdict is becoming clear. Shedeur Sanders isn't just winning the quarterback battle, he's preparing to conquer the NFL. Here's the truth. Some explosive new reports just dropped, and they absolutely stunned me. What's inside confirms something many have whispered about but few could prove. Real collusion within the NFL. And yes, it involves a Cleveland Browns quarterback, which makes this all the more significant. So buckle up because we're going deep. Now, I'm not here to shout collusion into the void or toss around reckless claims just for views. That's not my style. I'm bringing receipts. I'm laying out the facts, the context, and letting you draw your own conclusions. All I ask? Stick with me, hear the full story, and sound off in the comments. Let's begin with Ryan Clark. He's been one of the loudest voices in support of Shedeur Sanders lately, and what he's been saying, well, it lines up suspiciously well with what these collusion reports are now exposing. So first you'll hear what Clark said, then I'll break it down from both the Browns angle and the league's. Before we dive in, take a second to hit that subscribe button, smash the like, and drop your thoughts below. It helps more than you know. So here's what Ryan Clark said that really hit home. He claimed that maybe it's just his algorithm, but he sees Shedeur and Shedeur Sanders on his feed more than any undrafted or late-round pick he's ever seen. Instagram, Twitter, these kids are everywhere. And let's be real, a big part of that buzz is because of their father, the legendary Dillon Sanders. Dillon was iconic, a generational talent with unmatched swagger. He wasn't just a player, he was a movement. He told teams not to bother interviewing him because he already knew where he was going. He ran a 4.1 and said, "That's it. Watch the film." That was prime time. Unapologetic, electrifying. But here's where it gets complicated. Dillon's fame and the way he did things may have unintentionally backfired on his sons. Because this time, Dillon's not the one calling the shots. And as Shedeur entered the NFL draft process, things got strange. The spotlight turned sour. Suddenly, there was this tidal wave of negative talk. None of it about football. All about character, attitude, personality, but never backed by specifics. That's when it gets personal, because you can't prove or disprove anonymous whispers. You can evaluate tape. Sure, maybe Shedeur doesn't have elite escapability or a cannon like Josh Allen. Fine, that's valid football critique. But these vague character assassinations, they're baseless, and they hurt. You could see the pain on Dillon's face, not just as a coach, but as a father. He's always been the protector. the fixer. But now, he couldn't fix this. He couldn't shield his son from the politics. And that kind of helplessness, that cuts deep. Let's not forget, Dillon's been calling out these lies for a while. At the Big 12 Pro Day, he flat out said he knew who made those anonymous claims. And everyone who's spoken on the record about Shedeur, they've had nothing but praise. Giants GM called him a great kid, football smart, checks every box. Doesn't sound like someone toxic. So what's really going on? Critics pointed out Shedeur skipped the East-West Bowl. Okay, but ask why. Reports say the Titans, Browns, and Giants requested he sit. This wasn't a diva move. It was strategic, driven by the teams themselves. One scout even said, "He's got swagger." Feels like a QB one. So again, where's the proof of a bad attitude? Now here's where it all gets nuclear. The collusion ruling. The NFL and NFLPA haven't even acknowledged it yet, but the ruling is out there. 61 pages of evidence that were never supposed to see the light of day, and they confirm what so many suspected. The documents outline a coordinated effort to suppress fully guaranteed contracts. Yes, this goes back to the Deshaun Watson deal and Lamar Jackson's negotiations. According to the report, at a March 2022 owners meeting, just days after the Browns gave Deshaun that historic $230 million fully guaranteed contract, the NFL Management Council didn't just suggest, they encouraged all 32 teams to reduce guarantees in veteran contracts. Let that sink in. This wasn't a tip. It wasn't advice. It was a league-wide directive. That's the very definition of collusion. And it makes you wonder, why hasn't another quarterback received that kind of deal since? Think about it. Multiple MVPs, Pro Bowlers, franchise cornerstones have signed new contracts, none of them fully guaranteed. The intensity, unmatched. This wasn't a no-contact walkthrough. This was a statement, a message to the locker room. It's officially confirmed. The kind of headline that makes you pause mid-scroll, stop mid-sentence, and ask yourself, what just happened in Berea? Stick around. I'm going to break it all down with full context and zero fluff. But first, hit that like button so you don't miss a single update. Today's shockwave: the Cleveland Browns have officially parted ways with defensive end Ogbo Okoronkwo. That's right. Obo is out. Once viewed as a rising cornerstone of the dog-pound defense, he's now suddenly and surprisingly released. And no, this isn't your run-of-the-mill transaction. This is a statement. This is Cleveland sending a message. Expectations weren't met. Accountability matters. We're moving forward. Let's unpack this. Because beneath the surface, this move is about more than just a roster cut. It's about philosophy, direction, and identity. Okoronkwo wasn't a throwaway signing. He was a notable free agent pickup on a 3-year, $19 million contract. The front office, driven by analytics and potential, saw serious value in his pressure rate efficiency from Houston. On paper, Obo looked like he could be a formidable force opposite Myles Garrett. But let's be real. How often does potential translate into production? In this case, it didn't. Not even close. Obo concluded the 2023 campaign with just 3 sacks in 16 appearances. Injuries, especially a nagging shoulder issue, derailed his momentum. Even with a valiant effort to return in time for the playoffs, he didn't move the needle. This from a player who boldly declared he'd notch double-digit sacks? The result? More bark than bite. And when Zadarius Smith was traded and Alex Wright went down early, the stage was set for Obo to rise. But he didn't seize it. Worse yet, the tone around his future shifted noticeably in the offseason. His name began to surface in cut candidate chatter. Free agency came and went. The NFL draft passed. Reports hinted Obo and CB Greg Newsome were floated as trade assets. But no bites, no deals, no traction. Now, the Browns simply cut ties. No compensation, no trade, just gone. Why? 2 words, youth and upside. The Browns are clearly doubling down on promising talent like Isaiah McGuire, the former Missouri standout who flashed late-season brilliance when injuries decimated the defensive front. Breaking news out of Berea: the Cleveland Browns have just made a bold roster shakeup that's sending shockwaves through the dog pound. Defensive end Obo Okoronkwo has officially been released. Yes, you read that right. The same Obo who arrived in Cleveland as a highly touted free agent signing just 2 years ago is now off the roster, as the Browns clear space to bring in kicker Andre Smith. Now, on the surface, this may seem like just another routine offseason move, but dig a little deeper and you'll see this decision reveals a whole lot more about the direction of the Browns' defense, their confidence in emerging talent, and how this front office is actively reshaping the future of the franchise in real time. Stick with me, because this isn't just a release. This could be a defining turning point. And before we get into the details, smash that like button if you've been repping the Browns for 20+ years. We've got fans here who were at the very first game. Drop a comment like, "Go Browns! Let's go to the Super Bowl!" Let's rewind. When Okoronkwo signed that 3-year, $19 million contract, Emart checks every box. Doesn't sound like someone toxic. So what's really going on? Critics pointed out Shedeur skipped the East-West Bowl. Okay, but ask why. Reports say the Titans, Browns, and Giants requested he sit. This wasn't a diva move, it was strategic, driven by the teams themselves. One scout even said, "He's got swagger." Feels like a QB one. So again, where's the proof of a bad attitude? Now here's where it all gets nuclear. The collusion ruling. The NFL and NFLPA haven't even acknowledged it yet, but the ruling is out there. 61 pages of evidence that were never supposed to see the light of day, and they confirm what so many suspected. The documents outline a coordinated effort to suppress fully guaranteed contracts. Yes, this goes back to the Deshaun Watson deal and Lamar Jackson's negotiations. According to the report, at a March 2022 owners meeting, just days after the Browns gave Deshaun that historic $230 million fully guaranteed contract, the NFL Management Council didn't just suggest, they encouraged all 32 teams to reduce guarantees in veteran contracts. Let that sink in. This wasn't a tip. It wasn't advice. It was a league-wide directive. That's the very definition of collusion. And it makes you wonder, why hasn't another quarterback received that kind of deal since? Think about it. Multiple MVPs, Pro Bowlers, franchise cornerstones have signed new contracts. Thank you. See you next video.